Welcome to another video from OptaTube. Today, we're diving into a real paradox. Back in 2022, Europe stared right into the abyss of one of the biggest energy shocks in modern history. Prices were exploding, supplies got cut off, industries were teetering on the edge, and yet...
So, Europe survived. That should be the end of the story, right? A happy ending. Well, not so fast. It feels like the continent's victory lap might have been a little premature. The real question we need to ask is, how is it possible that a continent that just weathered a historic storm is still considered so vulnerable when it comes to energy?
Look, first things first, you have to give credit where it's due. The response to the 2022 crisis was, frankly, nothing short of extraordinary. Faced with a sudden, potentially catastrophic disruption, Europe didn't just adapt, it adapted at a speed that was just incredible to watch.
And the scale of what they did was just breathtaking. They slashed demand, they built brand new terminals for liquefied natural gas, that's LNG, in record time, and they filled their gas storage right to the brim. It was an amazing display of policy and engineering muscle, for sure. But here's the crucial distinction. Solving a sudden emergency, well, that's not the same thing as building long-term security.
Think of it like this. Europe acted like a world-class firefighter. They showed up and they put out the immediate fire. That was the acute crisis. But the structural vulnerability, the flammable material left sitting in the foundation of the building, that's a completely different problem, and it has not gone away. So to understand that weakness, we really have to look at this fundamental shift in how Europe gets its gas. Because in moving away from a predictable system, it has walked right into a new, and you could argue a far more volatile kind of risk.
You see, before all this, a lot of Europe's gas came through pipelines. It was all based on long-term contracts, pretty predictable prices. It was stable. Now, Europe is heavily reliant on LNG, which is a global commodity. So this means Europe didn't actually achieve energy independence. It just swapped one dependency for another. It traded regional pipeline politics for the chaos of the global spot market.
So what does this actually mean? It means the price of heating a home in Germany can now shoot up because of a heat wave in Japan, an industrial boom in China, or even a shipping bottleneck in the Panama Canal. Europe is no longer just a price taker from one supplier, it's a price taker from the entire world.
But wait, you might be thinking, what about all that gas storage? And yeah, you're right, Europe did a fantastic job filling up its storage facilities, and that absolutely helps avoid a panic in the winter. But it is so important to understand what storage actually is. It's a shock absorber, it's a temporary buffer, it's a cushion.
And that cushion has to be refilled every single summer. And where does that gas come from? Well, it comes from the very same volatile, super competitive global LNG market we were just talking about. So yeah, storage gives you resilience during a cold snap, but it does not give you sovereignty over your energy supply.
And this new reality, it isn't just some abstract problem for energy traders on a screen. No, it has very real and pretty painful consequences for Europe's economy, especially for its industrial heartland.
This right here, this is the question that is haunting boardrooms all across the continent. You've got entire industries, chemicals, steel, fertilizers, that were built on the promise of affordable, stable energy. Now, with European gas prices structurally higher than in places like the US, that competitive edge is just gone.
And this isn't some dramatic, headline-grabbing crisis. It's a slow-moving structural erosion of the continent's industrial competitiveness. When energy is a huge part of your cost, companies are eventually going to invest and build where the energy is cheap. It's that simple. Energy vulnerability has become economic vulnerability.
And here's the twist. Even the big rush towards green energy doesn't really solve this dependency problem. It just changes its shape. Europe is basically trading a dependency on fossil fuels for a new dependency on critical minerals and clean tech supply chains, things like solar panels and batteries, that are overwhelmingly dominated by other global players.
Okay, so if the current situation is still so fragile, what would a truly secure and resilient European energy system actually need to look like?
Well, it's not just one thing. There's no silver bullet here. It's a whole multi-layered system that has to combine a diverse, stable supply with prices that actually allow its industry to compete on the world stage. It's going to need a modern grid, the ability to manufacture its own clean energy tech at home, and maybe most importantly, way less exposure to the whims of that daily spot market.
And let's be crystal clear, building this is a monumental task. This is not a quick fix that you can solve in a single emergency meeting. This is a marathon. It's going to take years, maybe even decades of strategic investment and political coordination to really make it a reality.
And hey, if you want to follow this marathon from the nitty-gritty of power system modeling to the big picture updates on the global energy market, make sure you're following the OptaTube YouTube channel. We'll be covering it all. So the key takeaway here is this. Europe's energy vulnerability, it hasn't disappeared. It's just become less obvious. It's no longer about a single pipeline being turned off. Now it's systemic. It's a complex web of global prices, international supply chains, and just fierce economic competition. So you see, the remarkable story of 2022 wasn't just about survival. The real test, the one that's going to define Europe's future prosperity and security, is whether it can take the lessons from that crisis and build a truly resilient system before the next inevitable shock arrives. Because in the world of energy, complacency is the one thing you can't afford.